Retro Horror back for a review. I've got a movie called Angst. And angst in German is fear, defined as fear. Actually, there's a lot of words that in English language that have their roots in the German language. Angst is one of them. This is a 1983 film produced, directed by Gerald Karg, Kargl, and he put his $400,000 of his own money into this thing, and unfortunately, it got an X rating and was banned, and never got released or limited release. And finally, it came out after much effort on DVD and Blu-ray. It's probably the greatest introspective character study of a serial killer that I can think of. It outshines any other film that I can think of. Schramm, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. None of they all pale in comparison to this film. It's a shame that the director lost everything he had, went into so much debt, because it really kind of burned him. I mean, he didn't. In talking about this film, the film has a lot of painful memories for him because it ruined him financially, and he really was never able to do any other films after this. But it's a masterpiece. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know of any other film that takes you for 80-some minutes on a journey with a deranged psychopath killer, both in terms of relentlessly following his acts. You just don't get a moment's break. You're following every action that he does, as well as you're trapped inside the mind of the guy, because it's done. His innermost thoughts are being illustrated through the film, and you're made to sit through that. And it's a very disturbing and gripping 80 minutes. It's analogous to, I guess the only other analogy I could give you would be maybe A Clockwork Orange, where we have to follow Malcolm McDowell, his innermost thoughts and his actions. This is the same thing, and you don't get a moment's respite. I mean, you're with him constantly, both physically and in his mind. And it really is done very well in such a way that, as disturbing and graphic as his psychopathy is, and what he does to victims, you're forced almost to empathize with them in a horrible way. I mean, so I was relieved when it was over. It's kind of funny. Jörg Buchardt, who did all the necromantic films, did a 30-minute interview with the director, and that was kind of one thing he said, is that he was relieved when the movie was over, because it puts you in a position of unwillingly and unwittingly empathizing with a psychopath, but you're just kind of forced into this guy's mind, and you're just glad when it's over. This is a masterpiece. One of the things that makes it such a masterpiece is the cinematography. Zbigniew Rybczynski, a Polish cinematographer, created a very innovative technique with mirrors that you get all these kind of weird angle shots in this film. It's a very artsy, very experimental film in that respect. And I think that use of the mirror technology and shooting at these weird, wild angles, and all the crane shots and dolly shots, that drove the cost of the film up. But at the same time, it's what makes it such a masterpiece. I can't think of many films that have such an interesting a multitude of interesting. Every shot in this film is just an interesting film study. I think you'd have to go back to some of the early German expressionist films like Metropolis or Cabinet of Dr. Caligari to replicate such an influential film from a technical standpoint, and it made in 1983. So that as well, I think, moves this film way up on the list in terms of character studies of serial killers. And of course, not to be forgotten is the actor Carl. What was the guy's name again? Carl. He was in Das Boot, and he did a fantastic job in that too. But he was great in this. There's an interview with him in this film, in this Blu-ray. Erwin Leder. Well, I wasn't even close. Erwin Leder is interviewed in this film, this Blu-ray, 2004, I believe, or 2009. He was fantastic in Das Boot. That's the German masterpiece submarine war film. He really immersed himself into this role. The film was actually based on true events. Werner Kaisnick is a serial killer back in the 80s. That the events of this film mirror almost exactly what he did. He tried to kill his mother, and they committed him, and then he got out and attacked a family and killed them. And they were talking about in this film in the interviews, either with the 30-minute review with the cinematographer or with the director. It might have been with the cinematographer. It was a big news that in Austria they actually shot the opening scenes in the prison, and apparently it's the same prison that this film was based on, that the guy's in prison. So that's kind of spooky and strange. The other part of this film, I think, that makes it different from any others is that all the actors look very non-actorish. The killer, a lot of times in horror movies, they're chasing a really dolled up looking hot woman, but in this, the guy kills an old woman and her son who's in a wheelchair, and the daughter. I mean, very normal looking family. In fact, that's what the real killer did. So the inspiration for it, I guess, is real circumstances, but the impact is really, really phenomenal, because it's one more step towards a realism that you don't get. You can't distance yourself from it and say, well, this is just a Hollywood movie or art exploitation movie. It feels real, very, very real. And the fact that he would kill such normal looking people, I think that adds to the dramatic effect. Masterpiece. What I can say, it's a 10 out of 10. It's not a fun watch, but man, it's an incredible movie. This Cult Epics Blu-ray is chock full of stuff. It's got a 40-page booklet, beautiful booklet. Of course, it's got this is the Blu-ray. There's no alternate cover art, no alternate artwork. As I said, there's a 30-minute interview with the director, 30-minute interview with the cinematographer, 30-minute interview with the lead actor, and then there's an audio commentary with the director. So yeah, I mean, this is I can't say enough good things about this. This is probably, I really can't think of another character study of a serial killer that even comes close to comparison of this. I think this is the best or best one ever, which is saying a lot because there have been some really good ones. Henry Portrait of the Serial Killer is great. Schramm is great, but this bad boy is a masterpiece, I think. So yeah, that is Angst, and it gets my highest recommendation. Thanks for watching.